This week, we welcome in a very special guest, founder of Trophy Room, former Whitney Young standout, and son of the one and only Michael Jordan. Marcus, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Tell me again the inspiration behind the store Trophy Room.
Sure. So Trophy Room is inspired by the trophy room that was in our house growing up. And so obviously we lead through the Jordan brand and Nike footwear products. But the inspiration is really, that room in our house was centrally located. It was like a spot where everybody really just wanted to hang out. And if you came over to our house, you would always pass by the trophy room. And so we literally would put our Christmas tree in there. Anytime we won an award, my dad would put our trophies in there amongst his. And so it really just kind of inspired us as kids to want to go out and do our own thing and earn our own accolades. So, with the store, we really try to just kind of recreate that environment of like being this place that people want to come and be and come and shop. So, we started out with Jordan brand, and now we're starting to bring in more streetwear like Off-White and Bape and Heron Preston and things like that. And so I'm excited that once we get open, we can kind of really test the market with some of these new vendors.
You were preparing to open the new location for your store, Trophy Room. Obviously, the coronavirus pandemic threw a wrench into all of our lives, but tell us how you shifted from having a grand opening to now I've seen you're selling shoes online, you've got your product online. As a businessman, how did you have to kind of shift from this great grand opening to, more of a social media business plan?
Yeah, so for us, once we closed our door last June 2019, we've kind of been operating online only already. And so it's kind of been somewhat natural. We've been doing this for like 8 months now. Mm-hmm. But we definitely were preparing for our grand opening. And, we were actually in the process of starting to submit for permits to the city when, I think St. Patrick's Day, everything started shutting down for us. And so it's been, just challenging in terms of, seemingly everything changing day to day. But, we think that there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel for us. I think the past 5 or 6 weeks, there's been like 3 or 4 sellouts on Jordan Retro products. And so obviously it's a blessing that, there's still demand during this time that people still want to buy their J's.
What kind of advice has your father given you about opening a store like this that's obviously related to the brand that he built, but it still has, your own style to it, and that you're selling other brands? It's a boutique. It's also the way you described it. It's kind of like an experience when people are going to come in. So it still has that connection, obviously, to the family brand, but is uniquely your own.
Yeah, I think, my dad's just really been supportive of me just trying to find my own way in business in general. Any question that I've got, he's been there. And, it was a lengthy process even just to get open. It wasn't, a lot of people think that I just called my dad up and said, hey, I want to do a store. And one day I had a store. It wasn't like that. It was literally a year and a half of business plans and him kind of tweaking and making suggestions on, things that I felt like I should do one way, and maybe based on his experience, he thought it should operate another way. And so, it's definitely I'm learning from him every day. It's not something that's just done. It's something that as challenges, even through this virus, I'm touching base with him constantly, just kind of figuring out what he's doing in his workplaces and things that I can kind of do with my staff and stuff like that. So it's just been great to kind of have him as a support system with me trying to get all my stuff off the ground.
The sneaker culture has shifted so much in that, the people buying sneakers back in the day, it wasn't this you're online, you're on an app, and they're instantly sold out. It was like you're waiting in line. Of course, lines wrapped around corners of stores and all of that.
Sure.
But it was almost like there was more effort into actually getting your hands on a pair. Now, people can, again, just log on to an app. You fingers crossed, hope you're one to get the pair.
I think it's a positive and a negative, with the technology in sneaker culture today. And so I think one of the things that empowers us as boutique owners is there's always going to be that want and desire for a connection from your local boutique or your boutique that sells you J's, and I think a little bit of that is lost in the sneakers and the app launches and the online raffles and stuff like that. But I think that's one of the things that really separates us from the bigger box retailers is that, each of us has our unique way that we kind of connect with our consumers. And, I think that there's I think it's a required essential in the sneaker culture. It's like, you can kind of go so far with the direct to consumer launches, but at the end of the day, you still need your foot soldiers like us on the ground making stuff cool and pushing energy on some of those products that might not necessarily, be received as cool, that then we can kind of cook some energy behind.
How many shoes do you own?
That's a tough question. I don't know. I don't have an exact number, but I would have to say it's in like the thousands. Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I just moved from my last place, I have a warehouse for Trophy Room. And so I literally ended up putting a lot of my own personal stuff in the warehouse just because I was like, look, I can't do this to my new house. I've got to make sure that, I bring stuff over in small increments. So I've been doing that. I've been trying to do that right.
What is your favorite pair? You have to have one that's like just your favorite pair of all time, whether it's from back in the day and you still have it, or something new. What's your favorite pair, Jordan?
So I mean, honestly, it's tough. It varies for me on the situation, right? Because it's like having a favorite sibling. You can't have a favorite sibling.
Well, we all do have a favorite sibling. Like,
but you can't say it publicly though. And so for me, if I was to pick one, I would pick the Retro 5, just because it was, it launched in 1990. I was born in Christmas Eve 1990. It's our most recent retro for Trophy Room also. But that doesn't mean to say that I don't love the 11 and I don't love the 3 and the 4 and the 1, even the 2, which I think a lot of people sleep on the 2. The 23 is another favorite of mine. So like, I love them all. I can't just pick one, but if I had to wear one forever, it would probably be the 5.
You saw the documentary ahead of time, didn't you?
Yeah, so I had a couple of episodes early. Jason and my dad sent me a couple of episodes. Jason's the director.
Right.
And so I saw 1 through 9. I've seen 1 through 9, but I haven't seen 10. So I'm excited to see 10 this Sunday, kind of with everybody else. But it was, as they were, kind of editing them, Jason would kind of shoot me episodes and just make sure that things were kind of on track. Obviously, he knows that I know most of the stories. And, every step of the way, I literally didn't have to give him any advice. Like, obviously, how am I going to advise him? But he just wanted to make sure that the story and the components were right, and that it was, like doing a justice to my dad's legacy. And I think, they did an impeccable job.
What was the most emotional part about seeing this team and your dad's legacy displayed this way?
I think for me, it was that, that episode 8, obviously with how they covered my grandfather and all of the story that went behind it. And, that 96 championship that was won on Father's Day, and if you go back into the archives, you'll see there's pictures of me and my brother. We're in the locker room with him. And so, that moment was just like, I think the most emotional episode for me. But I think, as a whole, the documentary is really just kind of like a roller coaster because, when we got older, we were playing pickup games with my dad, and we got to see a lot of those kind of behind the scenes moments of him chirping to people that he was playing with or whatever the case may be. And so, to have the world finally see that and be able to kind of share and like, all right, yeah, like this is my dad, this is who he's always been. It's kind of cool to have that experience. So
you were on the Breakfast Club with your sister and your brother, I believe last week, was it?
I think I'm losing track of days of the week with this quarantine.
We don't know what day it is.
Yesterday, we've got today, and then tomorrow. I don't know what day it is.
All I know is it's day. That's what I'm just saying. But anyways, you called yourself a Twitter warrior. And you have been actively going in on Twitter, whether it was, the battles between your father and Isaiah, or even Gary Payton's moment, like he was giving himself credit for like taking the series back. Is there ever a time when you're on Twitter where you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say that? Or is there ever a moment when your mom or your dad check in and are like, I don't think this is the best move right now?
Well, anytime I'm going to get advice from my parents on tweets, it would definitely be retroactive. I mean, post the tweet. It's not going to be before. But no, there's a lot of thought that goes into my tweets. A lot of them look like I'm off the cuff, but I promise I'm just that good. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, No, a lot of it is just in fun, man. I think people take Twitter oftentimes too seriously, use it as like a press release or something like that. Like, no, man, it's just 280 characters and I'm having fun. And I just leave it at that.
Does your dad have like a ghost account where he's like checking Twitter? Is he like
Absolutely
on
not.
Twitter somewhere and you just don't know?
No, he could absolutely give two shits about what's going on Twitter. He's retired. He's living his life. Nah, he's fine. He's fine. He plays 36 holes of golf pretty much every day. So between that and hanging out with my little sisters and his, doing his thing, he's fine.
I think for all of us, we all of a sudden saw the relation between the owner of Moron Mountain and Jerry Krause. So,
yeah.
Marcus,
I have no idea.
Any relation to the character and Jerry?
I have no idea. That is a great question that I should bring up over one of our family dinners sometime. But I don't know. I can't speak to it. I think that's a conspiracy theory to this day. I can't confirm, nor can I deny.
Obviously, Space Jam is being remade with LeBron. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you think the movie is going to be different? What are your thoughts on Space Jam 2 with LeBron?
I'm interested to see it. I know absolutely nothing about what's been going on with it. Obviously, I've seen whatever's been in the media like everybody else, but I'm interested to see it. I think I'll always have a special place in my heart for the OG original. But I'm not gonna put any carts before the horses with this Space Jam 2. I think it should be pretty good. But we'll see.
How did you see that competitive edge in him as a father, and how did he turn it off?
I think for us, we're all naturally competitive. I think we all got that gene. My siblings and my dad, obviously, and so at times when we would play basketball, there would definitely be some competitive moments in the gym, talking trash or whatever the case may be. But, he always made sure that there was times where, he would come to our basketball games individually, my sister included, who played in middle school. And, making sure that, we were included in all of the basketball games that he was at, all the home games we were there and being behind the scenes, messing around with Benny the Bull and stuff. Like, as a kid, that stuff meant the world. And so, I think now that as we've gotten older, it's just about, he checks in on us all the time and making sure that as we kind of do our own individual businesses, making sure that we're kind of guided and steered in the right direction. And so, I think it's over the years, we've gotten closer just as he's started to have more time and more free time away from the game of basketball.
Lastly, before I let you go, what has been your favorite part about watching this documentary and also seeing it shared with the masses?
I think for me, my favorite part is like, all right, finally it's there, it's out there, it's done. I mean, in my opinion, it should end all debates as to who is the greatest of all time and not just, focusing on any one player. I think it should be, I don't think what my dad did for the game of basketball can be repeated. And so I think, case closed. So I think that's the best part about the documentary for me. And then obviously just kind of the banter that's been happening after each episode, week to week. I think it's just kind of funny to kind of sit back and watch people clamor over themselves, and some people make fools of themselves, and other people, kind of support what the documentary has kind of been outlining. But I think it's just been kind of fun to see, and hopefully people, don't take it for granted, because I don't think it's ever going to happen again. But I think, I'm glad it did, for sure.
Marcus, I appreciate you for taking the time. I'm glad we can have this conversation with our voices back.
Exactly.
Stay happy, stay healthy, and enjoy the last 2 episodes.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.